Welcome to Life Connection, a weekly chat with newsmakers across the Sioux Empire.
Really excited about this morning's program. I've got Sandy Tams, who is the founder of Sioux Falls Lutheran School. It was founded as a preschool in 1977. I also have Tina Lenz, Brett Baney. Also, they have been on the Sioux Falls Lutheran School staff for quite a while, and they're being honored in their retirement with a party and open house a little later on today over at the school, which is just located across the street and down the road at 6715 South Bow Lane, B-O-E Lane. It is south of 69th on Tallgrass Avenue. And to you all, welcome to the studio and welcome to the show. And Sandy, I guess it all started with you by accident.
It did.
Can you explain the little history of the beginning of Sioux Falls Lutheran?
Well, it was 1977. I had a preschool in my own home, and I was happy with my preschool in my home. And I worked 2.5 days, and the board, the members, I'm not sure who came to me that wanted to start the school and said, would you be our preschool teacher? And I said, well, I think it's a conflict of interest because I have a preschool. And they said, well, we heard you only worked 2.5 days. Could you do Sioux Falls Lutheran the other 2.5 days? And I said, oh, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. And so I went home and thought about it and prayed about it, and God gave me the push. This has been God's plan, I'm sure, since the beginning. And I'm kind of a modern day Jonah. And no, I don't want to do that. I want to do what I want to do. And he gave me a big push, and here we are.
Look at the history of the school from where it started through the K Cinema now to this wonderful facility that continues to grow even today.
Kind of reminds me of our shirts, and Brett's got one on. Imagine. We never imagined anything like this. I'm in awe.
So you were able to teach just a few years.
Yeah, just a few.
And you went through the craziest year to retire in. And,
yes.
And in the process, move from an old building into a new building over Christmas break. And then just be in the building for a few weeks before you had to cut ties and retire.
Yes.
Can you explain that?
Well, we moved in. That was a hard move for me after 35 years at the K Cinema. And my friends helped me move, and we got there and we started, and it's hard to find things because we'd always had it in the same spot. So we got settled in there, and then March 12th was the day before spring break, and we didn't even know it was our last day. And then we were told we weren't having school anymore, so we went to packet teaching for every week. They had a packet for the rest of the year. Graduation was a drive-by graduation, which was really quite fun. We had a good time doing that.
Good.
But not the year I planned to just kind of float out. It wasn't that at all. There was a lot of new things. It was hard. It was a hard year.
Did you want to demand a reconsideration on retirement?
No, I was ready to go then. I was tired.
Sure, absolutely. Tina Lenz also with us this morning, along with Brett Baney, and both have been teaching at Sioux Falls Lutheran and are retired. And Tina, how long have you been with Sioux Falls Lutheran?
Well, I actually started in 1979 when they decided to add the elementary grades.
Gotcha.
So I was fresh out of college, got my first call here to Sioux Falls Lutheran, and I remember at Concordia they said, well, you're going to South Dakota. And I'm like, what? I'm from Kansas City, and I had put on my requirement papers that I wanted to go south, thinking Texas or Oklahoma, and I was going to South Dakota. And I showed
south.
up. Oh, I went south. I went to the wrong south I was thinking of. Excuse me. And I arrived here 4th of July weekend, actually, just this past weekend, and from 79, 42 years ago. And I didn't know a soul. And so it was quite a testament of faith to do that. And it's been the biggest blessing in my life. Never in my life would I have guessed I would have been here. We would have raised our family. We were in eastern Iowa for a few years, and then we came back. So, yeah, it's been an amazing occupation to have and place to do this job. And that first year, I had 4 kindergarten students. It was just a half a day. I had 2 boys and 2 girls, of which I hope maybe 3 out of the 4 are able to come to our party today. I've contacted them, and then I did preschool. So we were driving to different locations because we were in church basements at the time. So yeah, it's every year we would just keep adding a grade, and at 80, then we added grades 4 through 6. At first year of K through 3, we only had 11 students in K through 3. And yeah, it was just tiny. I remember arriving, we were at Zion Lutheran that first year, and we didn't even own a paper clip to the school name. Sure. It was like, oh my goodness. And that was back in the time when I would draw the things for my bulletin boards. There was no place to really purchase them at the time. So sure. We started from ground up.
Sure. And then you were able to make the additions of grades 4 through 6, and then the big move over to the K Cinema in 1984. Can you give me an idea the enrollment size at that time in 84 and maybe the staff size? Do you have a guess?
We were combined classrooms at the time. Sure. So we had 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th together.
Okay.
I'm guessing there were maybe 5 of us, 5 teachers.
Okay. Yep.
Back in those days, we would get together for picnics and suppers. We were each other's family.
Yeah.
A lot of us were not from Sioux Falls, and so we've known each other for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, you have to understand my great joy is because I'm a Sioux Falls kid, and so in '84, the spring of that's when I was graduating from high school, and so like I said, I had a great affection for history of the city of Sioux Falls, and of course, part of that history was the entertainment part of the city, and that included the K Cinema. And once I heard Midco was no longer going to be a part of their plan, and that then Sioux Falls Lutheran, and I'll be honest, at that time I didn't know what it was. And then I got to find out, and I was so overjoyed that a place that meant so much, going to watch a lot of Disney movies, the Apple Dumpling Gang is the one that just stands out in my head. But for that to happen, what a blessing. And maybe all of you can speak to what importance that building may have had on the rest of the history of Sioux Falls Lutheran and its ability to take in enrollment, take in students, and perhaps grow to the size that it is today, where more and more families now want to be a part of the Sioux Falls Lutheran family. Can Annie and all of you maybe speak to that? Sandy, you want to?
It's centrally located. We had children from East and West and T and Harrisburg, and I mean it was a wonderful location. It was family orientated too. They're our kids, they're still our kids, and a great joy is when we get kids from the kids we had. Now they bring their children to Sioux Falls Lutheran.
Tina, how about you? What the importance of that point in the history?
I was always amazed how we were becoming known within the city, and how people would walk in and not really know what our building was like and who we were. They would be amazed when they would walk in because our building was kind of a long structure that went back, and they didn't think it was as big as it was. When we first moved in, the upstairs area was open, and there was room for us to build a 2nd floor, but that phase came a little bit later. We used to refer, when they finally put the steps in, it was the stairway to heaven, because it just went up so far. But I think the parents realized that we were family, as Sandy said, and we always had the idea that they were sharing their most prized possession with us. And here were parents paying tuition, and everything we did, we made very meaningful. It was very meaningful for what we were doing in our classroom, within our families, and they just found out what a great organization we were, or school that we were, And a few parents I remember commenting over the years, even at our new building, when they would come in, they were amazed how every child, not every child, but many children knew their kids' names and would say hi in the hallway. And so now we especially have that with the high school with us, and the little ones really look up to them, although they have their own wing. But it was just always the connection, I think, that we made with our families.
Tina Lenz, also Sandy Tams, and Brett Baney, our guests here from Sioux Falls Lutheran School. I'm Brad Peterson. This is Life Connection. And Brett, you came some 20 years after Sandy founded Sioux Falls Lutheran School as a preschool, again in 1977. You came in 1997. What brought you to Sioux Falls Lutheran?
Well, I think it was a God's plan that I came there. I was actually working in the printing business in Sioux Falls at Bell Paper Box then. It's now called Bell Incorporated now. And I had been there for almost 19 years. And I had started there when there was like 4 employees. And when I left, there was over 100 employees. And so it was a big growth for the company. And I was a big part of that in management. And it was just time to move on to find something else to do. And my kids were at Sioux Falls Lutheran. My daughter Emily was in kindergarten and Ryan was 3. And so I actually stayed home with him for a year. I stayed home dad for a year. And then it was time in the fall of 97 to find something to do, go back to work. And so there happened to be an opening in preschool at Sioux Falls Lutheran. And I said, well, that's kind of cool. Maybe I should try that. And then we can go to school together. I could drive to school, take my kids to school with me, spend extra time in the car. And as they say, the rest is history. I loved working with those kids and Sandy that very first year. And then just 23 years later, it was over. It was kind of hard to believe it was that fast and that strong. But it was just a God thing that I was there. I mean, he kind of led me to there, I think, with the opening coming at the right time. And the ability to be able to take that and just be part of it was really a lot of fun.
Sandy Tams, Tina Lenz, Brett Baney, going to be honored as teachers, huge roles in the history at Sioux Falls Lutheran School, with a retirement party today from 1 till 3 at the school. And Brett, you played a huge role in the fundraising efforts over the years.
Part of what I did for those 23 years is to help school fundraising. I was the first development director, and we started projects like the annual fund, and then also we started Hearts on Fire, which was a benefit auction. I was in charge of that for 18 years. That was a lot of fun to do that, some stressful times, but it was always fun to see people come together to support the school. And it was an event that we did every year in February. And the churches that support the Sioux Falls Lutheran, there's 5 churches that are associated members. Sometimes that's the only time they'd come together at an event to socialize, was at Hearts on Fire, and they wouldn't see each other other times. And so it was fun to get those kids and those parents together at an event like that, and fun to be able to raise money. And it was also fun to see what was donated. It was amazing to me to see the kind of stuff that was donated and the kind of stuff that people really put a lot of time and effort into donating and making and manufacturing and crafting and stuff. And so it was fun to do that. And then when it came time to do the capital campaign, of course, I had made a lot of connections, and I knew a lot of names and a lot of people and stuff, and so I helped formulate the list of names and of people that we should contact, and a big part of that. And it was just really amazing to see that capital campaign come together and all the different people that donated money to help raise the money to be able to build this building. It was just a God thing. God has blessed this so much since its inception. It's just amazing.
We feel at Sioux Falls Lutheran, and I know I speak for all 3 of us, we love those kids like they're our own. And
it's the relationships we've built with those families over the years. It's been amazing.
And not only the kids, but the parents. We've had so many parents that have been so involved and supportive of us. And so it's just been, I always say to the kids when my Fantastic 5 kids would leave, now make sure when you graduate from high school that I get an invitation, because I love to see how they've grown and developed and what God's doing in their life. It was so fun this spring to be able to do that again.
And so a school that went from the K Cinema to now out here on Bow Lane, not far from our location here at 71st and Tallgrass, just across the street, really. The school, brand new facility, is already seen at an addition. Live Connection, Brad Peterson with Sandy Tams, Tina Lenz, Brett Baney, honored as longtime educators at Sioux Falls Lutheran School with a retirement party from 1 till 3 at Sioux Falls Lutheran School, which is located at 6715 South Bow Lane, B-O-E Lane. And as you guys have headed off into retirement, do you feel you've left Sioux Falls Lutheran School in good hands?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Very good hands.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And it's the teachers, too.
Yes, it's the teachers.
It's the teachers. We have wonderful, wonderful teachers.
Back to you, Sandy, for just a moment. What makes a great preschool?
The teachers, the people, the staff that works with them, love. We loved them. And Jesus. Jesus was part of our day every day. In fact, if that's all they got out of preschool, that Jesus loved them and he's their friend. That's the most important thing. But we had fun. We
had a lot of fun.
We did a lot of crazy things.
Hands-on, absolutely hands-on activities.
Yeah, and I was a farm girl, so we have to be outside. We have
mud pies
and wheat and shelling corn and hatching chicks and our butterflies, all that stuff. And every time, like the church year changes, and like when it was Holy Week, I thought, oh, I want to tell those kids about, and we would wash feet. I missed that hands-on type stuff. I miss it.
With us this morning on Life Connection, Sandy Tams, also Tina Lenz and Brett Baney. And Sandy, I want to ask you about your settling on the hands-on play-based instructional model that is still used within the early childhood program at Sioux Falls Lutheran School today. How did you settle on that?
I think I like to play. I had a grandma that was very hands-on and did lots of silly things with us, and we loved it. And so anytime you can use all your senses with what you're doing, we would do it. And just looking through the things the other day that I was reminiscing for getting ready for this open house, there's just a little, it says, scientists have recently determined it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new synapse in the brain, unless it is done with play, in which case it takes between 10 and 20 repetitions. So if we could all learn new things, playing, hands-on, you don't forget them. If that's all they, start thinking about, if they see a chicken at the zoo and think, oh, we saw one come out of an egg, they'll remember it. It's better than even reading anything. And during the middle time of my preschool career, things started shifting to away from play-based, and parents were impressed with how many worksheets their kids brought home. And it kind of went to that, but I said, no, it's not about writing it down on worksheets. It's about doing it. They'll remember it. And we didn't change, and then it kind of came back to that again. So
definitely experience-based. How does it feel to know that the program that started as a preschool class more than 40 years ago now serves over 400 students from 18 months to high school seniors in high school at Sioux Falls Lutheran? How does that all feel to you now? Is that surreal?
And it's a blessing. It's a blessing from God.
So grades 9 through 12 added on the new Bow Lane campus last fall, and construction on the high school addition is currently underway. And it's located at 6715 South Bow Lane. We believe it's named after the governor.
Yeah, we think so.
We think so. And anyway, Sandy, Tina, Brett, thank you so very much. Again, the retirement party today over at the school from 1 until 3. We thank you so very much for your time in, one, the Sioux Falls community, Sioux Falls Lutheran, but also being in the community of teaching. So thank you so very much. It's your hearts and your care that we get to hear these stories of really prosperity. And as Sioux Falls Lutheran says, world ready, faith secure. Can you get any better than that?
Exactly.
That's right.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us. We appreciate it.
This is Life Connection. I'm Brad Peterson. Thank you for listening.